Usually when we talk about how human history is recorded, there's this expectation of tangible evidence.
Right, like we look for the paperwork.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
stamped passports, the signed legal agreements, the moving boxes.
Yeah, it's all very concrete, very easily filed away in a cabinet somewhere.
We really like our history to be visible, I think. We want it neatly categorized into dates and locations.
We completely rely on that paper trail to make sense of the past. I mean, it gives us a sense of order.
Yeah, it does.
When we can point to a document that says, this happened on this date, it creates a structural pillar for our reality.
But if you take that exact same historical event, say the fracturing of a family, and you drop down to the eye level of a 2.5-year-old, that entire paper trail just vanishes.
Oh, completely. It's gone.
We're no longer looking at documents.
Yeah.
We're navigating an emotional landscape that is, well, it's entirely murky.
Murky is the perfect word for it.
And that murky landscape is exactly what we are exploring with you today in this deep dive. We're looking through the excerpts of a deeply personal, heartbreaking memoir.
It really is heartbreaking.
It's titled A Tour du Monde pour mon fils, which translates to Around the World for My Son. And it was written by a French-American father named Guillaume Garot.
It is just a remarkable piece of source material. I mean, it takes this highly complex, devastating issue of international parental-child abduction.
Which is already so heavy.
Right. It's incredibly heavy, but it strips away the sterile legal framework. Instead, we get this incredibly intimate view.
So for everyone listening, we are going to look at the emotional devastation of this separation through two very distinct lenses today.
Yeah, the two perspectives are so different.
First, we have the immediate, highly sensory experience of that 2.5-year-old boy, Maximilian.
Little Max.
Yeah. And second, the agonizing, time-stamped letters that his father, Guillaume, wrote to him during their long separation.
And while the realities of parental alienation and, international custody battles are undeniably heavy,
So heavy.
what we are really unpacking here for you is fundamentally a story about an unbreakable bond.
Exactly. We are looking at the profound, relentless depths of a father's love and how that love tries to survive in a total vacuum.
It's powerful stuff.
Let's start right inside the mind of Maximilian. He's 2.5, living in San Francisco.
Right.
And the source text does this brilliant job of establishing his idyllic early days. It uses these beautiful, hyper-specific sensory details.
Like the blueberries.
Yes. Max talks about how knowing his parents love him makes his heart feel warm, quote, like when I eat blueberries.
That blueberry comparison is just a perfect window into toddler cognition.
How so?
Well, abstract concepts like love or security, they don't actually exist as intellectual ideas for a child that age.
Right, they can't philosophize about it.
Exactly. They process entirely through immediate sensory pleasures and physical sensations. So love is a taste, safety is a temperature.
Wow. Safety is a temperature. That makes so much sense because his daily life is just full of these comforting rhythms.
It's all about routine for a toddler.
He loves his mom's cooking. He loves listening to her play the piano. And he loves that his dad works from home, meaning Max can just wander into the office and play whenever he wants.
That open-door policy is huge for a kid's sense of security.
Totally. And there's this one specific memory that seems to anchor his whole world, which is reading the book, The Wheels on the Bus.
Oh, yeah, it's a universal classic, but it's the ritual attached to it that matters here.
Max waits for the part where the wipers go swish, 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 and he does the arm movements. And his dad just lights up, laughing and applauding.
And Max says it makes him feel so proud.
Yeah, they even invent their own silly songs at the park about a barking dog. And at nighttime, when Max wakes up crying in the dark, his dad is always the first one there holding him.
He describes being in his father's arms as feeling as safe as being wrapped in a warm blanket.
A warm blanket. That's that temperature thing again.
Exactly. If we look at the neurobiology of child development, what Guillaume is capturing here is the literal construction of a regulated nervous system.
Okay, break that down for us.
So, for a toddler, safety isn't a cognitive reassurance. It is a physiological state. The applause during a song releases dopamine.
Right.
And the physical warmth of a parent's arms in the middle of the night down-regulates a spiked heart rate. It literally stops the release of cortisol.
Oh, wow. So the stress hormone just shuts off.
Yes. That warm blanket is the entire universe holding together. The child's brain wires itself to believe the world is fundamentally a predictable, responsive place.
Which makes the rupture we see next so terrifying.
The universe literally cracks.
Max describes things getting scary at home. Loud voices. His mom is crying.
And he doesn't understand the words being yelled.
No, he just feels the panic in the air. Then his dad leaves the house for a long time.
And when he finally returns 2 weeks later,
He's accompanied by what Max calls scary people, who turn out to be police officers.
yeah, the sudden introduction of loud voices, weeping, and police officers, to an adult brain, that is a legal dispute or a domestic crisis.
We have the vocabulary for that.
Right, we can contextualize it. But to a 2-year-old, it is an inexplicable collapse of the environment.
The people who control the weather in his world are suddenly generating a hurricane, and he has no umbrella.
That's exactly it.
You know, I've been thinking about this in terms of a highly sensitive seismograph, like those machines that measure earthquakes.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Because a toddler feels every single emotional tremor in a house. They register the warmth of love, and they register the sharp, jagged spike of tension during an argument.
But they have absolutely no idea what tectonic plates are shifting beneath them.
Exactly. They don't know about custody laws or relationship breakdowns or geography. They just record the earthquake.
Right. The seismograph records the vibration, but it can't explain why the Earth is moving. The child's nervous system feels the physiological stress of the mother crying, the absence of the father, the intimidating physical presence of the police.
But because they lack the cognitive framework,
They can't assign a rational cause to any of it, so they are just left with raw, unprocessed terror.
so if the foundation just cracked, what does a toddler do next?
Well, I try to build a new one.
And we see that. Max enters this phase of trying to adapt to the fracture. He creates this stark dividing line in his life.
The contrast is huge.
At his mom's house, he observes her crying constantly, having loud, intense conversations with his grandmother, using big adult words he doesn't understand.
And then he goes to his dad's new house.
And it's this oasis of peace.
Yeah.
His dad actively goes out of his way to make Max feel special. Like he puts bright yellow flowers in his bedroom just because yellow is Max's favorite color.
That's so sweet.
They go to the marina to count birds. They sit and read at the local library.
The toddler brain is desperately trying to find equilibrium here. And notice what the father is doing.
What's he doing?
He is actively attempting to reconstruct that warm blanket of safety through routine. The library, the counting of birds, the yellow flowers.
He's rebuilding the world.
Right, he's trying to signal to his son's nervous system that even though the physical location has changed, the safety protocol hasn't. He's providing a predictable rhythm in a suddenly unpredictable world.
And Max seems to soak it up. He's going to play groups, starting to learn some Spanish, comparing all the languages bubbling up in his life.
The adaptation really seems to be working.
But then the tectonic plates shift again, and much more violently this time.
Yeah, this is where it gets really tough.
His dad drops him off at his grandmother's house looking incredibly sad. Max is put on an airplane and he flies to a freezing cold country.
Kazakhstan, where his mom is originally from.
So we move from an emotional displacement to a literal geographical displacement.
It's a massive upheaval.
And, you know, people love to say, oh, kids are resilient. They adapt. They won't really notice major life changes if you just keep them busy.
That's such a common misconception.
Right. And sure, on the surface, Max does adapt. He sees snow for the first time and thinks it's a magical fairy tale.
He goes to his uncle's wedding, gets dressed up, dances to the music.
He even begins learning the Russian alphabet. And every single morning, he calls his dad on the phone to proudly share these updates.
Because that phone call is the tether. He can play in the snow and learn a new alphabet because he still has a lifeline to his base of safety.
The morning call keeps his internal world anchored.
Exactly.
But then the tether is cut. One day, the phone simply stops ringing. No more calls to dad.
Just silence.
Max describes waiting every single morning with a heavy heart, holding onto his happy memories just to feel safe. He's entirely confused as to why his dad won't call him anymore.
It's devastating.
And this is where I want to challenge that whole kids are adaptable idea.
Please do.
How does a child's brain reconcile the sudden, completely unexplained disappearance of their primary source of safety? Like, do they just move on or do they internalize the blame?
Oh, they almost universally internalize the blame. From a developmental psychology standpoint, children at this age operate with what we call egocentric thought.
Wait, when you say egocentric, it sounds like you're calling a 2-year-old selfish. Are you saying a toddler is sitting there selfishly making his parents' divorce all about him?
No, not selfish in a moral sense. Egocentric in a strictly cognitive sense. They literally lack the neural pathways to understand that other people have independent lives.
Oh, I see. They don't get that other people have complex motivations.
Exactly. According to developmental stages outlined by psychologists like Piaget, a toddler believes they are the cause of everything that happens in their universe.
So if it rains, the toddler thinks the sky is sad with him.
Yes. So if a parent suddenly vanishes, the child's default assumption isn't, oh, there must be an international communication breakdown or a complex legal custody dispute.
Obviously not.
Their assumption is, I did something wrong, I am bad, and therefore I am no longer loved.
Wow. It's a survival mechanism turning against them.
Precisely. And what you're seeing when the phone stops ringing is a phenomenon known as ambiguous loss.
Ambiguous loss.
Yeah. The human brain is an incredibly efficient pattern recognition machine. It's designed to close loops.
Like when a story ends.
Right. If someone passes away, there's a funeral, a cognitive endpoint. But ambiguous loss is psychological torture because the brain's pattern, my dad is here, I am safe, is broken.
But there's no closure.
Exactly. No visible reason to close the loop. The child is waiting for the phone to ring, and the brain gets stuck in a permanent state of buffering. It's trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces.
And while Max is trapped in this internal silent buffering, his father is experiencing the exact opposite.
It's quite a contrast.
Guillaume is dealing with a desperate, loud, external outpouring of words into a void. Since he can no longer speak to his son on the phone, he turns to writing letters.
He transforms his grief into documentation.
Which brings us into part 2 of the memoir, spanning from May 2024 through August 2025.
The letters.
Yeah. I picture these letters as a psychological message in a bottle. Guillaume is literally tossing these emails into the ocean of time.
Because he knows a toddler can't read them right now.
Exactly. He's hoping that years from now, the adult Maximilian will wash up on the shore, open these files, and have undeniable, time-stamped proof that he was never, ever abandoned.
The analogy of a message in a bottle perfectly captures the mechanism of countering parental alienation.
How so?
When a parent is subjected to sudden separation, the ultimate terror is that the child's narrative will be rewritten by the remaining parent.
That the child will grow up believing the silence meant they weren't wanted.
Right. So by writing these letters, Guillaume is fighting back against the erasure of his own existence in his son's life.
And the agony in these letters is just palpable. We watch Guillaume try to survive these major milestones.
The holidays are always the hardest.
Yeah, Father's Day 2024 comes around. He goes to church. He tries to see friends to maintain some normalcy. But he writes to Max that he just feels entirely empty.
It's a hollow existence.
Then we hit Max's birthday in September. Guillaume happens to be in New York City, and he celebrates his toddler's birthday completely alone.
That part was so hard to read.
He orders Thai-fried duck with mango, gets a chocolate cake, and just sits there by himself.
It highlights the surreal duality of his existence. He is moving through the adult world, navigating the streets of New York, ordering dinner in a restaurant.
But his internal clock is completely frozen on a missing child.
Exactly. He is maintaining the rituals of fatherhood, buying the birthday cake, even in the total physical absence of the child.
But the most shattering moment happens in November 2024. It's been 7 full months since they were separated.
A lifetime for a kid.
And out of nowhere, they finally get a video call.
Yeah.
Guillaume writes that he is just a tiny little box on the screen, and Max doesn't recognize him.
Yeah.
After 7 months, the toddler looks at the screen and literally doesn't know who his father is.
To understand the cruelty of that moment, we have to look at how memory functions in toddlers.
Okay, what's happening in his brain?
Visual processing for facial recognition is still developing at that age. It requires constant in-person reinforcement to remain active.
So if he doesn't see him every day, it fades.
Right. 7 months for a 2.5-year-old is roughly a quarter of their entire lifespan. The visual memory of the face naturally decays.
That is just heartbreaking. But Guillaume refuses to give up.
He really fights for it.
He digs deep, looks through the screen, and starts doing their old gesture songs. The physical arm movements they used to do together to the wheels on the bus.
Yes, the swish, swish, swish.
And suddenly, he manages to make Max smile and almost laugh.
Because while the visual cortex might lose the face, motor sequences tied to emotional joy are stored in deeper, older parts of the brain.
Like where?
Like the basal ganglia. This is implicit memory. Max might not consciously recognize the man's face on the tiny screen, but his nervous system recognizes the rhythm of the song.
So the body remembers what the mind forgot.
Exactly. The body remembers the wipers, even when the conscious mind has forgotten the visual identity. Guillaume bypassed the decaying visual memory and used the only neurological key he had left to unlock his son.
That is profound. The body remembers what the eyes forget. And you see Guillaume trying to keep his own life moving forward, too.
He has to.
He writes about going paddleboarding in Brittany, floating under this incredible sky full of shooting stars.
And he goes to the zoo with his extended family.
Yeah, he sees giraffes, lions, turtles, and zebras. But every single one of these experiences is filtered through the lens of Max's absence.
He's living for two.
He tells him in the letters, "I will take you here one day. I am saving this for you."
By saying, "I will take you here," he is curating a future for them. It's a vital mechanism for psychological survival.
So he doesn't just give up.
Right. By promising trips to the zoo or showing him shooting stars, Guillaume is actively rejecting the permanence of the separation. He is demanding that the future still exists.
And that demand for a future plunges us into the grueling bureaucratic nightmare of the international custody battle.
Oh, the legal system is a whole other beast.
These letters don't just show emotional longing. They track an actual legal war.
Yeah.
And we see how hope can actually become the cruelest weapon in the entire process.
The cycle of anticipation and devastation is a hallmark of these international disputes.
You see that emotional discipline pay off, or so it seems, in January 2025.
Right, there's this soaring high.
A court in Almaty announces that they can finally see each other soon. And what struck me here is Guillaume's incredible empathy.
It really is surprising under the circumstances.
In his letter, he tells Max, "Your mom probably feels like she's losing you, but she loves you." He doesn't villainize the mother to the toddler. He assures Max of his mother's love.
Which is a crucial detail for you, the listener, to note. Despite the sheer agony of the abduction, the father is prioritizing the child's psychological architecture.
He's putting Max first.
Always. He recognizes that tearing down the mother would only further shatter the child's foundation. It takes an immense amount of emotional discipline to put the child's need for maternal security above the father's very justified anger.
But then the reality on the ground crushes that hope.
Yeah, it falls apart.
Guillaume travels all the way to Doha and then to Almaty in February, and the mother simply hides Max.
They don't get to see each other at all.
No. Guillaume has to fly all the way back to California, empty-handed. Then he tries again in April 2025. He flies back and spends 2 weeks actively searching for his son with zero luck.
2 weeks of just wandering, looking.
So I have to ask you, does getting a legal victory actually make the emotional torture worse?
Yes, absolutely.
Because it transitions the separation from this impassable legal wall to an active daily evasion by the other parent. It's no longer a judge saying no.
Right. It's the other parent actively hiding the child while you are in the same exact city. It absolutely exacerbates the trauma. When a bureaucratic system is blocking you, you can direct your grief at a faceless entity. It's a logistical problem.
Sure, you can be mad at the paperwork.
But when the system says yes, and you travel halfway across the world, only to be thwarted by the active, intentional evasion of the person you once built a life with, well, the powerlessness becomes absolute.
I can't even imagine.
The dopamine spike of anticipation, thinking you are hours away from holding your child, followed by the stark reality of sitting in an empty hotel room in a foreign city.
It's psychological whiplash.
Yes. It creates a level of psychological whiplash that destroys a person's baseline of hope.
Yeah.
You learn that even winning the war doesn't get you your child back.
Whiplash is exactly it. And you watch that tool take shape in the letters.
The tone definitely changes.
There is a very specific, devastating shift in his perspective in a letter dated April 25, 2025.
Yeah, that one stands out.
Up until this point, Guillaume has mostly been telling Max about his own life. The paddleboarding, watching a rocket launch with French friends, visiting Hearst Castle.
He's been building that bridge to the future.
But on April 25th, something breaks. He pivots, and he finally just asks the void, "What did you dream about? What did you eat? Did you laugh today?"
That shift from declarative statements to interrogative questions marks the realization of the accumulating lost time.
He's giving up the future and obsessing over the present.
Exactly. He is no longer just trying to build a bridge to a future reunion. He is mourning the daily, mundane details of the present that he is missing. Asking, "Did you laugh today?" is acknowledging the ghost of the life they aren't living together.
Asking, "What did you eat?" to an email inbox that will never reply. It's a surrender to the agonizing present.
It really is.
And that leads us to the final devastating timestamp we have from the source material, which is found in the final letter and the author bio.
Final count.
Guillaume continues his fight from California, and he notes that it has been 17 months of separation. Exactly 531 days since he last held his son.
531 days in the life of an adult is a long time,
Yeah.
but 531 days in the life of a toddler is an entire developmental epoch. The child he said goodbye to no longer exists. A new child has grown in his place.
Oh, that is a hard truth to swallow. So, to look back at the journey we've taken today, we started with the rich sensory memories of a San Francisco toddler.
The smell of blueberries, the piano, the yellow flowers, the warm blanket.
Right. And we followed that timeline all the way to a father sitting in California tallying 531 days of absence.
It forces you to look past the legal jargon of international parental alienation.
And just stare directly at the human cost, the sheer volume of unlived moments.
It's the invisible collateral damage of these jurisdictional battles. The paperwork keeps moving, but the emotional lives of the people involved are suspended in amber.
When you look at the 531 days tallied on that page, it forces you to think about the nature of memory itself.
Memory is so fragile at that age.
Because Max was only 2.5 when this fracture happened, there is a scientific reality here called childhood amnesia.
Yes. The brain naturally prunes those early episodic memories as it develops language and more complex cognitive structures.
So the scenes from San Francisco will physically fade from his neural pathways.
They will. He won't naturally remember them.
Which means, if Guillaume and Max are reunited years from now, this memoir won't just be a story that Max reads about his past.
It will literally act as his surrogate memory.
It will be the only proof he has that those days of singing on the bus and eating blueberries and sleeping safely in his father's arms ever existed at all.
It's his proof of love.
The paper trail we talked about at the very beginning of this deep dive usually records treaties and court dates and border crossings.
But in this case, a father wrote a book so that his son would have a permanent, indestructible record of the warm blanket. He documented the emotional geography so his son could eventually find his way back home long after the organic memories have faded.
Such a powerful thought. And for you listening, if this deep dive moved you, there is actually more to the story coming soon.
Oh, right, the new release.
Yeah, a new memoir is publishing next month. And this one is going to act as a prequel, explaining exactly how the parents met in the first place and the complex reasons behind the father's incredibly difficult decision to leave.
I think that context will add a whole new layer to everything we discussed today.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this incredibly emotional deep dive today.
It's been a heavy one, but an important one.
We invite you to reflect on the invisible threads that connect us to our own childhoods, the sensory memories that built the foundation of who you are, and the lengths we go to preserve them.